I made this video to demonstrate how I work through Phoenix's defensive issues, so I apologize in advance for the shoddy lighting and filming, but I had to work with what I had in the moment. As you can see and hear in these clips, Phoenix is very stressed and defensive about being moved into his new enclosure. The tail buzzing, classic, very tight S-curve, and long tongue flicks demonstrate that he is quite unhappy. While I'm sure arguments could be made for letting him settle in on his own, I prefer to try to work through him with this through handling. He is very used to being handled, and I find it is a quicker way of him settling his mind and getting to a point of being more comfortable. When I first get him out of the bin here, he is still obviously very stressed, and touching near his head made him flinch. Rather than continue to push the behavior, I just tried to touch him as close as I could to his head and then let him start to settle in. He was still riled up being near his enclosure, so I decided to take him for a walk. I took him into my bathroom because it seems to be an interesting and calming environment for them, but you can tell by the long tongue flicks and the tight S-curve still that he was a bit tense. I moved him around but decided to walk a bit more. We moved back into the living room, and I could tell that he was beginning to calm down. As you can see by the slower tongue flicks, the calmer expression, and his... It's hard to explain in a video, but the feeling of how relaxed he was in my hand here. So I just held him and then began to stroke him a bit to make sure that the touch wasn't making him flinch any longer, and really just reinforced that everything is okay and there's no reason for him to be upset or defensive. At this point, it's best for me to stop and bring him to his new enclosure. We sat like this for a few minutes. He did not want to move, but that's fine. I just let him figure it out, and eventually he decided he'd like to go in his hide.